Hello everyone, Loremaster Sotek here, and it's Ogre time. And things are looking a little interesting in the old world. This will be a fairly short video. I'm not expecting this to go super long as we just kind of talk through some of the ramifications of one of the characters moving, but let's go ahead and get Greasus out of the way. So Greasus Goldtooth is basically where we expected him to start. He does start right outside of a dwarf Karak, but he's also very close to his home, the Camp of Greasus, or whatever it's called. So, you know, Greasus Goldtooth, fairly standard. You're still pretty close to Zhao Ming, so you'll be able to foster that relationship into a rivalry or an alliance, depending on how you prefer to play. I imagine with the Ogres, you're probably going to be, at least with Greasus, you're probably going to be much more reliant on making allies with Grand Cathay, at least Zhao Ming. Just because you're going to have a lot more heavy enemies to deal with, especially with Kugoth right there, and now there's elves, and Grimgor's nearby, and Grimgor I could see potentially being an ally of Greasus, but I'm curious how that's going to work out most of the time. Like, I'm not sure what their natural aggression towards one another is going to be. I don't foresee there being a huge racial penalty between ogres and greenskins, but it could be. I mean, Grimgor and Greasus did throw down in the end times, which was a rather famous aspect of it for as people hear about it after its completion. And it's something that's kind of gone down in the cultural zeitgeist of the Warhammer Fantasy community as being one of kind of the epic showdowns, even though we didn't actually get to see it. But I am curious to see how that's all going to play out. But yep, so Greasus is still in the Mountains of Mourn. He's going to be your classic Ogre Kingdoms campaign. Personally, I am really looking forward to playing that. I do think that that kind of unlocks another really fun co-op campaign. Will be Greasus and Zhao Ming. Will be excellent for people looking for co-op. There will also, I think, be an excellent head-to-head campaign to be found in Grimgor Ironhide versus Greasus. But you could also make that a good co-op campaign as well. But that's enough on the biggest, fattest ogre there is. Let's talk about the chef. So, hey, look, Southern Realms is playable, technically, by a manner of speaking. So, Myrmidons has attracted a probably unintended foreign chef, being Skrag the Slaughterer. And this is a very interesting start position for him, because Myrmidons, that whole part of the southern border princes especially, or sorry, the western border princes, there's nobody there, and there really was never a chance for anybody to be there, because even the characters that are famous among border prince lore, so like Leopold the Black and Nashrag the Black Prince, those are kind of like the two most famous border princes. They live much further north. They're more in the eastern border princes, or the very northern tip of the western border princes. So we never really were going to see anyone further south, just because there's nobody that's ever really been put to page who's really of note and would make for a good legendary lord. So Skrag kind of sliding into that position and bringing his culinary skills out to wreak some havoc, I think is a really smart way to do things. And plus, one of the biggest threats to the border princes from a lore standpoint is actually ogre tribes. I haven't had a chance to talk about the border princes that much, but within border prince lore, kind of the main threats that they tend to deal with on a regular basis are greenskin tribes, ogre tribes, and bandits. Essentially, those are kind of the big three. So Skrag Skrag has a very scary tribe, especially with all of his gorgers. So the idea that he sort of wandered across the world and he shows up in Myrmidons and just completely conquers the poor place, like, no one in the border princes would stand a chance against Skrag. He would absolutely devastate those poor bastards. You know, they'd have to at the very least have mercenary wizards to even stand a fart in the wind's chance, but it's not going to go well, to be honest. So the idea that he's kind of moved in and taken over and probably devoured all the inhabitants and is now going to be waging his own war in the name of the Great Maw from there, I think is fantastic. This gives us a really nice ogre character right smack in the middle of the map, which is just epic. I'm really excited to play with him. You know, if you want, you can head south across the ocean and start throwing down with Altharion and have some pointy ears. and see what kind of I imagine elves got to taste like they've got to have like that really sophisticated nice taste. Plus, you know, it's like Altharian's got that big bird of his, so you got like a nice Thanksgiving turkey there. But I'm really excited to see what Skrag's gonna be up to. I have no idea who he's gonna buddy up with. Like I feel like he's probably gonna be a fairly strong antagonist to most of the Order races, based on just kind of the way the Ogre AI tends to behave and how, you know, they set up camps and everything. So he could be a pretty good ally potentially for Wurzag, or maybe even Grom if he heads up into Bretonnia. But maybe even the Skaven might find a use in Skrag. But you know who I think actually will get along well with Skrag is Sartosa. I could see RNS Assault Spite getting along very well with Skrag. And what would be really cool about that is one thing I've really wanted for RNS Assault Spite is for her to have ogres in her roster, because RNS in the book we got for Dreadfleet, one of the things they reveal in the novel is that RNS's first mate is actually an ogre. I think his name's Golg, something like that, or Gog, one of those. But this ogre is kind of like her most reliable companion. So the idea of her having kind of ogre crewmates, I really like, and it fits in really well with her lore, and would also give her more living units to work with, which would be great. You know, like you have your Sartosan pirates, and then you can have like ogre man-eaters because they look very piratey. Many of their designs. But if you buddy up with Skrag, you could very easily get access to a lot of ogres for many of your armies, and ogres would make a fantastic addition to Vampire Coast rosters, having those ogres join up with you, just because they provide some really big meaty lads who can hold the line while your shooting just starts devastating everything in front of you. So the more I think about it, the more I think this is a really good placement for Skrag. I think he's going to have an excellent time here, and his campaign's going to be super fun. I'm really hoping that the Southern Grey Mountains still has I think it was Gristle Valley, I think was the name of it, but there is a super famous, fairly well hidden valley. It's not like super well hidden, but it's not like crazy well known. There's a valley within the Grey Mountains where ogres are known to gather, and basically it's established this really notable ogre presence. And so many of the ogres who travel from the Mountains of Mourn and are working their way through the Empire and stuff will often stop by and visit this place, and it can be a very useful place if you're looking for ogre mercenaries, though obviously it's extremely dangerous. So that is what they put Skrag next to in the Realm of Chaos campaign. So I'm hoping that it exists in this campaign as well. Either they added the settlement or just, you know, kept his unique building there. From what I could tell on the map, it looks like the Southern Grey Mountains has a new region right here. It's hard to see, but if you look, these little very thin lines are denoting new regions. So you can see there's one region here, which is probably Karak Asgaraz. Then you have another region here under Grey, which is probably Karak Norn. And then you have another region here under Mountains that is the Skaven settlement. I think it's Fester Spike or whatever it is. But if you look, you can see there's another line right here. So this is a road or a river. I think it's a road, which is this like thicker line. But if you look just under the INS in Mountains, you can see there's a region line. So that's not a road line, that's a region, denoting that I think this little chunk right here is a new region, which is probably going to be Gristle Valley, or the whatever that, I think it's Gristle Valley, but it's whatever that settlement was that they introduced, which would make the Southern Grey Mountains a 4-settlement province, which I'm always happy when provinces have more settlements. Just the more settlements we can have, the better, in my opinion. But it also gives Skrag somewhere really interesting to go set up shop, or at least like a goal to head towards, because you want to head towards that so you can get access to that Gorger buff building. I hope that's what that is. But overall, really happy with the ogres. Obviously, this is a pretty tame reveal because there's only 2 characters. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. I'm not going to wax lyrical about this more than I already have. Personally, I think these are great, and I can't wait to have Skrag interacting with like Belagar Ironhammer and all those other characters and Arnessa and stuff. And then Greasus, of course, is going to, I think, be kind of the the core true ogre experience campaign. But that's gonna be it for me today. Hope you all have a lovely day doing whatever it is you're doing out there, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.